Yeah.
Is it feasible?
Probably not, since the meeting starts in 1 minute. But I definitely get there for next week.
I'll just announce it.
Is it just, yeah, we'll see, but I'm running a little bit late right now.
That's everything figured out. And then I'm going to, when I get back to the office, we've got 30, just 30.
Good. It's running late today, so.
I have to take my granddaughter.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she's spending one night with me a week.
Uh-huh.
And normally it's on Tuesday night, and I had some Tuesday nights I had to switch. I almost forgot about it last night. And then I realized, okay, this is really probably not a good night for her to spend the night because I have to be at Starbound at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, no kidding.
Morning. 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 James Pegram. How are you doing?
Good.
James has our invocation this morning.
All right, let us pray. Dear God, we give thanks for the pleasure of gathering together for this occasion. We give thanks for this food. We give thanks for life, the freedom to enjoy it all of the blessings. As we partake of this food, we pray for good health and strength. In Jesus' name, amen. Stand for pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we test for the things we think, say, and do,
It is the truth, is fair to all concerned, will build goodwill and better friendships, will be beneficial to all concerned.
Gwen or Brian, you have our Sergeant at Arms report?
Yeah. We have 25 Rotarians, here today, as well as, yes, Peter and then, Kayla Lander and Sunset.
Thank you. Rick Martin was traveling today, but he said he sent me birthdays. We don't have any birthdays this week. Did anybody have a birthday this week? No? But we do have 2 club anniversaries. Mark Reynolds has a club anniversary, and Tom Sears, and I did not know how many years. So,
Tom's 31, or he's a founding member.
okay.
Or I
31
thought he
years.
was.
31 years, maybe.
If he was a founding member, they'd all have a founding member.
Okay. So, where's Bobby? Buster came 1 week and he said it was just too much for him.
He's
Turn it over to
rested.
Bobby.
Happy dollars. Stock market was up yesterday. There's gotta be some happy dollars. I see Skip reaching in his pocket, thinking it means Wednesday.
Oh my gosh. I know. I'll tell you, I was one here, I couldn't find one with George Washington, Ben Franklin crying. He hadn't seen that much light in a while. I'll have to Venmo $1, but thank goodness for a little rally yesterday.
All right.
Steve.
I'll do $5 Venmo, and sort of combine this in. I don't know, I think some of you know Joe Hilliard at the Sunset Club. And she's a wonderful person. She's been a great asset to the club. Early on, when I asked for sponsorship, she volunteered to do a platinum sponsorship, $2,500. And we were certainly thrilled. She's one of the first. But at a meeting the other night, Sunset meeting the other evening, she made an offer to match another $2,500 platinum sponsorship. And Tom Richardson rose to the challenge. So Tom, unfortunately, this is not up to date, but due to that, we're increased by $5,000. And so Tom has a platinum, and Joe Hilliard's first was in the name of her company, THS Creative, phenomenal business, and then the other is a personal donation. So my happy dollars are just for the amazing support that we've gotten to date. We're doing real well with sponsorships. So I'm so proud of everybody.
That Rotary Pyramid scheme was sell stuff to each other and get rich.
Stop.
Keep it up.
You weren't supposed to let us know that.
Glenn.
I'll Venmo a couple dollars.
All right.
I finally got my red badge blue this week. Sign up for a sponsorship.
There you go, Steve. He fell for it.
That's quite a thought.
Does that imply you can buy a blue badge now?
Yeah.
Beneficial to all concerned.
Not anymore. You're right. Well, Grandpappy, I told him that we were gonna have some politicians speaking, and that some might be on one side of the aisle and some on the other, and I said, should we give them the key to the city? He said, we ought to change the locks.
That might be a good idea. Couple of announcements on that note. We do have the mayor, our Greensboro Mayor Nancy Vaughn, speaking next week. So it's a great time for you to invite a guest to come with you to breakfast. And then the following week, we have our Lieutenant Governor, Mark Robinson. And I sent out, and Danielle sent out a couple of sign-up geniuses. We have folks from other clubs and outside this club that would like to attend. So whether or not you intend to come, please respond so we know how many people are coming, because we have to let Star Mount know. We don't want to go in the hole for, and pay for 100 breakfasts or 50 and then have 100 people here. So we need to plan for that. And district conference is April 28th and the weekend of April 29th and 30th. How many of you are signed up to go to district? Great, great. That's awesome. And I think Tom said he was going, right? And Guy said he probably would too. We, Gate City has agreed to sponsor an outgoing exchange student. And Tony Hudemeyer has helped coordinate that. So we are looking for families. Part of this program is that we host an outgoing exchange student, but we also agree to host an incoming exchange student. So we are looking for families to host. And I think in the past, we've had 2 or 3 families that maybe split the year, but they all have to be in the same school district. So if you are willing or know other parents or families that would be interested, they do not have to be Rotarians, but they do have to be vetted. And there's some, I guess, background checks and that kind of thing, or interview process. Guy, do you know more about that program? I don't. So, and then I think you received from our district or incoming district governor an email about the Ukrainian crisis and the ability for our club to donate to help refugees. And the district is willing to match whatever we donate up to $5,000. So if you are motivated or passionate and inclined to donate, please write your check or seek Dale Farlow, and then we'll combine those and the district will match. And then the last thing I have is we have been stuffing this jacket in our box, and it's a nice little Orbis jacket. And it's a large, extra large. So if this belongs to you, please take it. I'll hang it up here somewhere. That's all I have. Does anybody else have an announcement?
Yes. Thank you, Lisa. I just want to thank everyone who generously donated to the gift basket last week at the meeting. So I bought the basket for you to see what the donation was able to get us. So some of those baskets will be going to the district conference in the name of this city, of course. And then I think 1 or 2 will go to our contemporary as a basket. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other announcements? I will say that I'm glad to see our recovering member, Chris Jackson, here this morning. Welcome back from your hiatus.
All right, good morning. My pleasure this morning to introduce Bob Shumway, many of you know him, he's actually been in GCR in the past. A couple of years ago, Bob spoke. And
Not on.
So a couple of years ago, he spoke to our club about a fight for kids. I think our club gathered up some money and either sponsored a book or one of the programs. I think a former member of Dale Alkin sponsored the school. Bob's entrepreneur, his resume is really long, and he's written 11 marketing books, and also a lot of children's books, because he found his calling among, kids in school who don't get a lot. And the Fights for Kids program is amazing. We're looking forward to seeing it again. So Bob, come on up and do your thing. You got plenty of time. We're running a little early.
That's fine. Is that better?
Yep.
Okay, all right. It's always good to be back here. I was a charter member of this club for 15 years, and I was actually sponsored by Haybrock, and many of you I still know in here, and sometimes I see, sometimes I forget the names. It's been 15 years, but it's always a special place for me to come back here. Matter of fact, if you wonder where Happy Dollars came from, right here. If Buster is here, he always says, Roy is the one who brought us Happy Dollars. And you can check it out with him, but I was actually in Sanibel, Florida, and I made a meeting up in Sanibel, and that is where the Happy Dollar original guy was. And I said, this is so cool, I want to bring this back. And so Buster's had that calling for like 20 years, I think. So that's where Happy Dollars came from. I am excited to be here. No, you did not sponsor a book. We have held your money in escrow for the last 2 years. Okay, and so we've had to do that for a number of people. As you may or may not know, our organization has no expenses that are ever paid from donations. Okay, so we have no paid salaries, we have no paid rent, we have no paid assistance. Everything is paid by myself and by Bill Polakov, who's my counterpart on the West Coast. And we've done that. We started this thing with Meadowlark Lemon years ago, and we said when we started it, there would never be an expense of dollars taken out of any donations, and we helped people. Now, if you wonder how in the world we continue to operate, well, on Monday and Tuesday, I had a reception at my house with 22 people who came in from around the United States. You may know some of the names. Ted DiBiase. If you're into the WWE wrestling, he's the $1 Million Man. And he spent the last 2 days with me on Monday and Tuesday. If you know Jared Ashley, he is a country western singer out of Nashville, and he was the 2014 Singer of the Year with the song Last Trains in Memphis. If you know Brandon Bing, he is the upcoming new artist of the year, and he was an me. And obviously, you know, Richard Petty, et cetera. Richard Petty was there. And this was our first hand with 22 people. I had 2 billionaires. I won't mention their names. I don't think anybody in the room is less than $20 million of net worth. And we were literally there. It's called the Big Heart Consortium. And it was a group of guys who came together for 2 days to sit down and say, what can we do to make an impact on children in America? It's always so how can we help you? We have 3 organizations today that are giving us one is giving us 10% of profits on a yearly basis. It's new coconut water that's in the marketplace. It'll be probably I'm guessing a $50 billion company in 3 years. It's called Coaqua Sprouts. It's just taking a contract, White takes this contract with them. We have another major insurance company. It's giving us 5% profits. So we're building our endowment because we are going big time on a national basis. So tomorrow I'll be in Cleveland, the next day I'll be in Toledo, last week I saw Orlando, and Jacksonville. So, and right now, let me talk to you about Greensboro. Before I do that, let me go ahead and take you through a couple of slides. Our mission is very similar to United Way, but it's to stop generational poverty. In other words, and we believe this as many people have said, the organization out of the University of Arizona says you don't begin stopping poverty with adults, you begin stopping poverty with children. And if you don't hit children at the right age, you'll never stop generational poverty. It's too late once they're in high school. Once in a while, you'll see a kid in high school who's had a horrible life, they've been arrested 4 times, they've been on drugs, and they decide to turn their life around. And that's a rare occasion. Even LeBron James says, because I promise school, if you don't get in the 3rd grade, you're going to miss them. 3rd grade is the most influential year of a child's life. It's when all of a sudden they're no longer little kids in elementary school. In 2nd grade, they're learning to read. In 3rd grade, they're reading to learn. That is why 3rd grade is when grades begin. And that's when they start to realize that I get what I've learned. And that's really the foundation of our books, is that nothing is given, everything is earned. And believe it or not, we've never had a school system which turns down. Because we say to them, it's just exactly what you do for grades. They don't give you a grade because they say, oh, Carol's cute, I think I'll give her an A. No, they give you a grade based upon what you earned. And that's really what we're all about. So our books not only get to see the books, but they also get banners, they get wristbands, etc. 2 years ago, obviously, we were waylaid, we got put on the side. We did do some schools last year, believe it or not. We had Carteret County, Atlantic Beach. We had a guy up there who was so thrilled with our program. He says, "Oh, go ahead. I want to handle the entire county." He wrote us a check for about $40,000. We were up there. We did 350 some children. Every one of them living below poverty. And they got done with that. And then the 4th grade people, they were reading the newest book out there called What Should I Eat Today? That book happens to be in that material. So you have a set of books in front of you. We're a 3-year program now. So what we are not, let's go find a poor child and give them a bite. That is not who we are. We made that mistake 1 year ago, our 1st year. And after it was all done, we sat down with our lemon, and we all came to the conclusion something was missing. And what was missing was we were really trying to make a difference in behavior and how they thought about life. And our message was always think big, work hard, be kind, no excuses. Well, we couldn't find the book that did that. We had a book that said think big. So our 2nd and 3rd year, we used a book called Think Big, and we had the teacher read the book to the children on the pages, and after they read the book, and they would study what it meant to really think big. And 2 weeks after that, they wrote an essay paper, how does think big apply to you in school? And we ran that organization for a number of years based upon that book. At the end of a couple of years, I said, we need to get this book in every child's hands. The Think Big book was $20 a book. We couldn't do that with $30. And so I said, look, I've written 9 marketing books at that time. I said, I can write a child's book. So I wrote the book of Think Big, Work Hard, Be Kind, no excuses. So this book is going to be used all over the U.S. They even get orders from both schools who don't work even now. That was our 3rd grade foundation book. It still is to this day. And the kids read this book and they believe that they're writing an essay. They've studied this book for 6 weeks. It's approved now in all of North Carolina. They have a work lesson for the book. So the teacher follows the work lesson. They get a class instructional piece that says, here's how we suggest that you use it. And this is used when kids are thinking they're writing an essay paper in 6 weeks to get 1 of 3 bikes that will be given to the best essays. They don't realize is at the end, we will announce that we'll have a sponsor up there. Dale Hopkins sponsors the school all by himself. He was thrilled with that. Just spoke to him a week ago, just was check on full school. And Dale Hopkins will be up there in front with me. And I will say, Dale, I'm really struggling with this last award to give this 3rd bike out. That's all we've got. I said, did you read those papers again? He says, oh, yeah. I read them last night again. I said, well, they good to use the word of the they were fabulous. We give you instructions if you're a sponsor, what you're going to say. And I said, we need a huddle. So we'll call the principal over, the superintendent's there, get somebody, might get one that captain the football team on a high school, because we're doing Moses, if we're doing Cedar Town Elementary, we'll have Paige, but we'll have the marching band, we'll have the football team, with the girls and boys basketball team, all the cheerleaders. We'll call one of the heads of that over, and we'll turn our back to the students and say, we're going to huddle for a second. Turn it back, sound like we're huddling. And I'll be right. I said, okay. I'll look at Dale and I said, Dale, this is a big step. Are you sure this is what you want to do? Said, oh, yeah. This is great. I looked at the principal and I said, Ms. Robinson, are you on board with this? I said, oh yeah, I'm on board with this. I said, okay, kids, I've got good news and bad news. What do you want first? There's always some kid who wants the bad news. I find the kids, okay, we'll do the bad news first. The bad news is this. The only other light I've got up here is that light right there. That's the bad news. By the way, right at this time, you will have little girls and boys sitting there with their fingers crossed, arms crossed, and you'll always have someone who will have tears coming down their cheeks. That's not the feelings. Because none of these kids have ever happened. You get old enough and I'll say, here's the difference. Dale Rickard did this thing last night and said, Bob, I can't just give them. These kids, they didn't win it. They earned their right. And I want to go ahead and I look at them and I say, kids, what he's doing is he's giving everybody a bike, and the curtain goes up and there'll be 100 bikes behind us. And literally 20 of those kids out of 100 will drop to the floor and start to weep. That's how this program goes. At that time, then we turn and the fourth grade book comes and says, what should I eat today? Why do we have what should I eat today? Because 57% of the child's, 67% of the child's diets today is ultra processed. Average elementary school child during the last 2 years of COVID gained 22 pounds. That's the National Academy of Family Pediatrics. They asked me to write this book. It's a doorstep. 57% of these kids, they believe, our children in elementary school will be obese by the time they're 35 years old. This is a crisis. I was at Gate City Charter Academy. Robert, you sit on the board with them. You were there at the ceremony. Am I explaining the ceremony exactly as it happened? He was there at the award ceremony. And I asked, is it Natasha, the principal? I asked her, I said, have you noticed the weight gain? And she said to me, Bob, we have been introducing ourselves to kids who walked into school. And they're saying, I'm Jimmy King. Oh, Jimmy, she says, we have kids that are unrecognizable by the amount of weight they put on. Mom and dad had no food in the house. Kids weren't coming in for lunch or breakfast. So mom would say, grab some chips out of the cupboard, get a Coke. So there is a food crisis in elementary school children, particularly the Title I kids in America. So that's why we wrote this book to make a difference. And then this book has just been published. It's called Zach and Thad Discover Four Money Secrets. And the National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors have decided that they needed to bring the book down to elementary school and not start teaching financial literacy in high school. It was too late. So this is the first book. This is approved. This is being used all over North Carolina, Florida, Rochester, New York, and this one continues to spread. This one happens to be sponsored by Dennis Stearns for Guilford County. So as you see, we're a pretty big program. As a matter of fact, this is the book that every school gets. This is the principal's manual. What their job is with the school lesson plan, etc., how they get prepared for the award ceremonies. So every principal receives this. We work in, and this is our coordinator's guide for people that say we really want to help you raise money and bring sponsors together. What do you do? How do you approach somebody, etc. So this is one of those manuals. We have we just passed about 8 of these more out throughout the United States from different cities. That's one thing to leave in Toledo. If you wonder how we're doing in Guilford County, 69% of every child in Guilford County, elementary school children, living in poverty. It's a staggering. Charlotte is no better, exactly 69% of the poverty. Raleigh's at 67%. If you want to go to Toledo, Ohio, 91% of every elementary school child is living in poverty. So why don't we know that 69% of children in Guilford County are living below poverty? Because we don't want that. That's not good news to try to make news. That doesn't attract new businesses. But that's where you're at. You can look it up. Call the school system. They will tell you they have, I think, 71 elementary schools, and 47 of those schools are Title I schools. Every child in those schools receives lunch, breakfast, and usually a snack pack to go home. So I've done this for 20 years, and essentially I've come to the conclusion in the last few years that if we don't do something, we're in trouble with students, because the government's not going to solve it. So it's going to be enterprises like this. And that's why for 2 days I met with the 20 gentlemen who came here for no other reason to sit down and say, how do we support underserved children? We did it down at Victory Junction because Victory Junction is right there with us and huge supporters of a school with us. They get all the way off county, they've got big hearts. You'll see bikes for kids on the basketball. We're not paying for it. It's going to be a gratis thing, and hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is actually 2 race cars this year. And they're promoting us as we're promoting them, and that's why we're part of it. With 22 people this year, next year we'll have 40 people throughout the United States. It's called Big Heart Consortium. And your job is to come here, open your Rolodex, that's full term, tell us who you know, who should be involved in this, what can you offer advice, how do we continue to expand it, et cetera. That's what that firm is all about. Just hit the top button. Okay. I think essentially we've covered that. We identified your Title I elementary schools. We provide the lesson plans, the books. We track school sponsors. We assemble bikes. We do the award ceremony. And it's a 3-year curriculum program. If you ask me who else in Guilford County is currently sponsoring schools, I mentioned Dale Hopkins, Jim Melvin, actually was picking up an entire school, graduated from Gillespie Elementary School. And he said, I want to sponsor that school. He had no idea that Gillespie Elementary School is a Title I school. 120% Title I, which means it's 20% below the poverty. Jim Melvin did that 3 years ago with us, and literally could hardly speak, with tears coming down his cheeks when he realized what he was doing to help those kids. Al Bodford, Dennis Stearns, Town Bank has 2 schools, Stephen Bright, you may know Stephen, Volvo has 2 schools, Roger Sutton, Jerry DeLugan, Tom Keynes, his firm, sponsors one, Corey Corporation, Charles Harris, Al Kern, John Gray is president of Guilford Orthopedic. I could go on with people here, but these people have big hearts, and many of these are just reaching their own pocket to sponsor schools to make a difference. Some of you may know Alan Bovely, does this as well. So we have a lot of individuals, a lot of companies who continue to grow the organization.
How much more does our club need to put out to?
Let me come to, I'll come back. Okay. Go my next one. Let's go ahead and watch the 3.5-minute video so you get the idea of exactly what we did at the charter school department. That's not it. Away. Kids working with underserved children, children that are living in families that are well beneath the poverty level. These are the children that get a breakfast in the morning at school, they get a lunch, and they usually get a lunch pack somewhere around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, snack pack, take home with them because there's no food at home.
We knew there was a lot of children that was underserved in their communities, but we had difficulty finding them and knowing where to go.
Every state has a Title I list, and then along with that list, there'll be a percentage of their student population. Even if you're at a school that has 80%, those children still are underserved. And so really we have so many needy children in all of our communities across the United States. And we wanted to do something that was 100% money that would go straight to our charity. I realized that we had the sheer capability of changing the lives of children.
Our program is not a let's give a bite to a poor child. It's about how do we help break generational poverty. We have 3 character building books that they go through. So it's a 2-year program to be able to help these children sit down and encapsulate what their dreams are and then how they move forward to accomplish those dreams. There's an entire lesson plan that is in the school system. So our lesson plan has been approved by the states. They'll be instructed, they're gonna write an essay paper on how does think big, work hard, think diverse uses part of their schoolwork and their goals in life. And they write their essay paper based upon the book that they've done. And they believe they're writing an essay paper to win one of 3 bites. They have no idea that what's all done. We say to the kids, we can't just give away one more bite. So instead of giving away one more bite, what would you think if we gave, and that's when the curtain goes up and we give everybody a bite. The good news is everybody's getting a bite.
Received our fights outperformed the food pursuit. So it was more than just a gift, it was something fun to play with, it was something that really helped change their lives too.
It kind of takes your breath away. When you sit down and realize you touched a child's heart. Every $500 we spend on a child, we're taking one child and moving to college or in 2-year college, 4-year college, or into a trade that never would have gone, never. We think that we're affecting our children about 9 to 1 as compared to what children are going through that don't have this program.
With this program, and when we read these books, a spark may happen. And that's all it takes.
So that kind of gives you an idea of exactly how this goes. It's a pretty dynamic program. I'm going to show you what the analytics are here in a second. They were studied by the University of Southern California. And I'll show you what USC said about this. It was so significant that that's the Richard Petty racing bike. We actually manufacture that today. So that is the only Richard Petty racing bike we've ever seen in America. Full lights. We actually presented the first bike that was ever run off the assembly line. That's the bike. And we presented that to him last week. Richard sat with tears from his cheeks. Actually, they just did advertisement for us. It's a 1-minute advertisement. And Richard talks about Victor Junction and talks about sponsoring the bikes for kids. And he says, that's the real picture. Wow, what a combination. So that's the Richard Petty racing bike. That's in his museum now. This is what the kids look like. This little boy on the right, on the very bottom, was a little boy that he was sponsored by the Stephen Dow organization here in town. And when he found out he was going to get a bike, he literally jumped to this, jumped up off the floor and ran up. And I forget Kim's last name, Kim Moore, who works with Donald, literally wrapped his arms around him and whipped. And we had to literally cut him off just to be able to get a picture of the back. Thought he would never. 2 older brothers that had never been a bike to the family. Dad's his dad said, son, actually, we can't afford Christmas. And this was the first week of December. And we see that all the time. The little girl on the left-hand side, she'd never ridden a bike. Most of our children in 3rd grade called me their 3rd bikes. These kids have never had a gift of this kind. Next slide. This is the next slide is how us putting together bikes. This is Guilford County. We always take a picture after a group has put bikes together. You'll be invited to shoot to come to the assembly and put bikes. At the end, we always take a picture because we want you to look around and look at the bikes and say, you've touched them. Every one of those bikes are a child. Those are the bikes that you've touched. Really significant bike. If you wonder how significant, the next slide is that we were studied in Southern California. They found the schools that did not do the Bikes for Kids program with us. 1 out of 60 of those kids would ever go on past high school. 1 out of 60. They got done studying our program, and it was 14 out of 60. And we won the most influential executive of the year for Southern California. If you don't think that was significant enough, you might know the name Cindy Martin. She's deputy. She's the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Education in the United States. She was the principal of my school, Central Elementary School, that I sponsored for 17 years in Southern California. I would go in every year and do the award ceremony. I finally, after 17 years, said, I'm bringing this thing to June Melvin Hill a number of times and get this thing to North Carolina. Cindy Martin is now the Deputy Secretary of Education, Assistant Secretary of education in the United States. And she is the one that, after 17 years, said she wanted to commission USC to do a study on us to see exactly what the results were. They about fell out of their chairs, realizing the impact of these kids. Next slide. Obviously, those are the two books that this has grown even since we made that film. It's now a 3-year program. It's the Pediatric Association asked us to write books on each day. We have actually 6 books. I won't go into the other books, but if they don't want to use the Wish I Eat book, we have another book called Make Good, I Promise. Okay, that's about team responsibility of holding everybody accountable to what they did. It's a 4th grade book, so they can substitute that out, or they can use both books. We give the books to them for free. Next one. We also have a book called The Faraway Warrior. That is right now on for next week for the Pentagon. We are working with the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force right now on Air Force bases throughout the United States. This is a book they give to people that are being deployed overseas to have a minor child. We were actually working with them to get advice in Minneapolis and with the National Heroes Association. This thing grew so big, they loved the book that we wrote and said, we need to take this in. So we're now in the Pentagon working with them to take this national with all the branches of the military. The next slide, you will see Brandon Bing, who now is the selected as new artist of the year. And he actually, I met with him 2 years ago, and he said, what else can I do? Sponsor a school. I said, what else can I do? And I said, I want to sponsor 2 schools. And he said, no, I want to do something bigger. I said, well, why don't you write a song for us called The Faraway Soldier? He looks at me and says, I'm all about it. He's singing with Kenny Chesney. He says, I'm all about it. So that song was released on November 11th of last year, and the video will be coming out soon. We spent a year and a half doing research on it, going to VA organizations, talking to military people that had to go overseas. And the song concerto. It's a great song, and they're using it all over the place on military bases, and so it complements our book. Next slide. So, how do you get involved? You're always already somewhat involved. You guys raised $4,700. It's our average school runs $10,000 for support. We can take that money, we can put you in a half a school. We can take your money and put you in the curriculum books and provide curriculum books. How would we want to do that? We could raise another $4,700. Actually, I could raise about $6,500 and give you a small school. But whatever we do, I would encourage you to be a part of this on your basis. Adopt the school. You know, if you adopted Charter Hill, Gate City Charter Academy, I always get that right, but Robert, you sit on that board. That's 100% Title I school. 100%. I was shocked. These kids are wearing uniforms as if it's a Greensboro Day School or something. It's not. They give the uniforms to the kids. It's a well-behaved school. These kids are important. And he said, thank you for what you do at school. You're president of that association, right? What a great job. What an impact you've had on us children. So we did that school last year. I was on the phone yesterday with Susan Hayward because we're trying to find a sponsor for that school. We'd love to have you sponsor that school. So that's where we are, and hopefully I'm going to open up for questions. And yes.
So when you go into a school, what's the average size of these 3rd graders to start with? I mean, how many is it, 50 or 100?
Yes.
You have certain criteria.
Look, I have 40 schools right now, or Title I schools, and I've got 25 sponsors right now. I have some sponsors who say, give me a big school. Okay, I've got Cone Elementary School right next to the page. That's 110 students. Okay, that's a 12,000 school. I've got a number of schools that are 79 students. I think a couple of those. That's about $9,500 school. I've got a couple of schools that are 50 students. That's about a $6,500 school. We also subsidize, like you guys are short $500 school. We've got money. We have people send us $1,000 or $2,000. We put that aside. We'll subsidize schools. We don't collect enough money for school. But we don't keep any. We don't keep any money except for last year. Our reserves in the entire United States was $27,000.
So if you have a school with 50 3rd graders, do they all participate?
Oh, yeah.
In various degrees?
So we don't go in and just say, well, if you're Title I, you participate, but if you're not, sorry, no. All of it, so different. That's why we only work with Title I schools that are at least 80% underfunded. And trust me, the other 20%, you're not sending your child to that school. You don't live in that area, and if you did, you wouldn't send your child to school. Every one of these kids in your school are financially challenged, is that right? Right. Everyone severely financially challenged. And it's worse this year right now than it's ever been. COVID is absolutely killed what's going on right now. Yeah.
You have volunteer needs beyond putting the bikes together?
Well, our big push is, I mean, this bike assembly thing is going to be 5 nights from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And it will be a full day Saturday to get these bikes put together. So we will have the bikes in warehouses up by Lion Park or someplace. We'll announce what it is. We'll send it to you to sign up for a 2-hour slot. If you got a company or a church or something, say, boy, we would love to have that. So the client, you will get a 2-hour slot. People that are kind of good, like these for afterwards. And they just think that's the way people do that. So that's the big hands-on experience. Anyone who comes to that, we're going to ask them to come to the assembly. The more adults that come to the assembly, the bigger impact this is. Look, University of Arizona, it's called Kids of Hope, said this: kids don't give up hope when they come to the conclusion of war. They don't give up hope even with domestic abuse in the house. They give up hope when they come to the conclusion that there isn't hope. That's when they stop. And that's what LeBron James says. You catch the 3rd, 4th grade. If you haven't contemplated that by 5th grade, they're getting angry. So the kids in 3rd grade don't know hope, which is so, but they're learning and they're thinking big and they're being challenged. You know, if you read the book.
Yeah, I believe our club helped put them together.
Some of you did.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, if you give us a date, I'm sure there are people that will.
Yeah, we don't have the dates here. We have to, with that shipping problem, everybody else has, we're ordering our bikes. Hopefully, the next 2 weeks, we have to order our bikes. If we don't get our bikes in the next 2 weeks, we won't be taking any sponsors after 2 weeks because we have to order them in time to make sure that if we have a shipping delay, they're still coming.
No, the question was, do you have a volunteerism beyond putting the bikes together? Y'all need people.
I need people to help us find sponsors, to talk to sponsors, and calls and people like that. Yes. So if somebody really wants to spend time and say, yeah, I'd be willing to call on 5 or 6 people per year, we'll actually say, let's sit down and think of who would be the moment. You set the point, I'll go with you.
Touch on real quick the teenagers that come and speak to the kids too. That's really impactful for them.
Yes, we always bring, wherever the high school, whatever the feeder high school is, then we will go ahead and ask them to bring a marching band. Okay, at least we want the percussion sections there. And I mentioned the football team, basketball, et cetera. And then they will line up all the way, so when the door opens up in 3rd grade, and they come out. It's like, Richard Petty and Kyle Petty said, literally, they said, this is a day these kids will never, ever forget. And I think you would agree with that. It's a day they never forget. Because when they open those doors in the public schools and the drums and the snare drums are hit, the cymbals go on, the cheerleaders are cheering, the athletes are giving high fives, and this is a day that's just meant for them. And they got smiles from ear to ear. So yeah, we'll ask every one of you to come to one of those assemblies. If you can come to one of your school you sponsored, you can come. Go to Robert's school. You can come to any school that you want. We'll give you a schedule of all the schools in the car. Many people will bring their grandchildren to sit down and say, let's go to this. They want to show them to another side of Greensboro that we don't seem to pay attention to.
And the high school kids speak to the kids about when they,
Yes.
you know, when they were in the 3rd grade and what they've done and what their aspirations are, and it's pretty cool to.
Yeah, we always try to get a child that has graduated from that elementary school, which we couldn't do in your situation, but they talk about when they were growing up and what they are today. Everyone, we have 3 role models that they will talk about in between giving bikes away. And these are kids that almost all of them were Title I children. But these are the kids that are going on to school and probably have gotten scholarships. Or somebody who wants to be a nurse, or always have someone who's going to be a doctor. They'll have someone who is going to a trade school because they always want to be an electrician. Or we've got, they're all over the place. So we try to make make sure this is not 3 college kids. We always have some of these roles that trades kids. And if you know the machine specialists, they work with the trades section with the public schools, and that's Tammy and Ralph Simmons, and they are actually going to provide a person that's in their intern program. And they will be at all of our schools this year. One of those people. A lot of people don't know about the program. They pay the kids their senior year as an intern about $30,000, and once they graduate, they pay them to go to junior college, and they pay them $65,000 that year to start working with them, machine specialists, and they employ about 25 of those kids per year right there in both college schools. So a lot of people don't know the program. So bringing kids in, they're all titled kids. They're paired up as well. Yeah.
Is there any study that shows any effect on family life of these kids that now are in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade? Their families?
I don't know how we measure that. So we're talking United Way right now, but we don't have a way to measure that. And can we word out? Our focus is on the children. Look, I happen to be a big believer in urban ministries. Okay, I'm probably like the rest of you. Yes, I give money to urban ministries, and this run for the balls at Christmas time. I mean, you know, I'm all about that. But you're not going to change generational poverty with food banks. We need to feed people, but you'll change generational poverty. Get to the kids. That's where it starts. Yes.
Simple question, I think it's a fantastic program. How in the world do you get 100 or 150 possible after you put them up on stage?
How do we get there?
How do you get them voted?
They have a signed form. An adult over 18 years old has to pick them up. They have 5 days. They come, and once they can't get home, the school will actually deliver those to their houses. Yeah, they get those.
Why bicycles?
The reason why there's a in your material, this anyway, there's actually a form. It's called Why Bicycles. LeBron James says, and he's right, is that a bicycle is a symbol of freedom. It is a point of life that really is a changing point for most of us. Maybe we didn't realize that it gave us the right to go, explore, find places, and build camaraderie with relationships with other kids. So it is a real mark of separation from being a child to their own responsibility. The I Promise School, LeBron James in Akron, Ohio, they start only with 3rd grade and 4th grade kids. And the first thing they do in the first 6 weeks is they have them read a book very similar. That's why I wrote the book, I Promise. Make Good, I Promise. They have them read the book, write an essay, and they actually award a bicycle to every 3rd grader that starts that school. They have 250 3rd graders starting that school every year. LeBron James says that's the biggest issue we have when it comes to making influence on these kids. They hang out for 3 years because they know we're here. So it's much more than fun. And Sidney Martin talks about that one. It's much more. It's a symbol of saying, I care about you. I want you to have something. I believe in you enough to give you a plan. I want you to explore. I want you to think big and work hard and stop making excuses. And that's what we tell the kids. No more excuses. When homework's due tomorrow, what do you get today? Tomorrow. So we are big influencers. Okay, I'm going to throw this back over to whoever closes out because I want to add you first. Thank you very much.
The city really should sponsor a school. When you break it down, it would only take 10 of us. We're at 5,000 almost. It would take 10 of us to donate $500. And I'll donate $500. So let's do it.
Yeah, we do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Last thing, we would like to ask you to draw. Did you do this back when you were charter member?
That's my number.
505. How about that? 505. It won the Thank you.